Okay, I have a confession to make. I uh I treat my body like a used car.
Oh,
And
no.
not a cool vintage one that I'm lovingly restoring. I mean, like a beat up sedan that I'm just trying to keep running until Friday,
I think I know that car.
right? I
Oh.
pour coffee in the tank to make it go. I totally ignore the check engine light, which is, my back hurting or a headache. And then when it breaks down, I get mad at it. I'm like, why are you doing this to me right now?
That is painfully, painfully relatable. And honestly, it's not just you. I mean, if you look at the language we all use, biohacking, optimizing, fuel, it's all industrial language.
It's all mechanical.
It is. We've basically decided that we're machines.
Exactly. And the goal of a machine is just efficiency. Input, output. If I eat this specific salad, I should get 3 hours of focus. And when the
Ugh.
math doesn't add up, I feel like, oh, the machine is broken.
Right.
But today, we are diving into a source that says, essentially, stop. Just stop it. You are not a machine. You are a field.
A communicative field. And
Yeah.
that phrase, that's really the core of this whole deep dive. It's such a radical shift in perspective.
It is.
Because a machine is something you operate. A field is something you inhabit.
Okay, communicative field.
Uh,
I love the sound of it, but it also sounds a little abstract.
yeah.
So before we get too philosophical, let's ground this.
Mm.
What is the actual practical difference?
Well, think about a garden. A machine doesn't care if it rained yesterday, but a garden absolutely does.
Right.
A machine doesn't have seasons. A garden lives by them. And if you treat a garden like a machine, if you just dump the same amount of water on it every single day, no matter what, you're going to kill it.
You kill the plants.
Of course. The source argues the body has this responsive intelligence. It's not just reacting to inputs, it is relating to everything.
Hmm.
The environment, your emotions, all of it.
So if I feel tired, it's not necessarily a malfunction that needs a caffeine patch.
No.
It's the field communicating a certain state of regulation.
Exactly. And that brings us to the first really big hurdle this text tries to clear, the whole morality of food.
Oh boy.
Because when the body is a machine to be optimized, food is just fuel. But in our culture, that fuel has a moral weight to it. Kale is good, pizza is bad.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have never eaten a salad and felt neutral about it. I eat a salad and I feel like I just donated to charity. I feel smug.
Yep.
And then if I eat a burger, I'm mentally calculating the penance I have to do at the gym later.
That penance mindset, that is exactly what this source is trying to dismantle. It states so clearly, eating and fasting are neither good nor bad.
Okay.
They are not spiritual achievements, and they are not moral failures. They're just expressions of physiological and energetic regulation.
Hold on, I want to push back on that a little.
Yeah.
Because regulation sounds lovely, but isn't there an objective reality here? I mean, if I eat a whole bag of sugar, that's objectively worse for my quote-unquote machine than an apple. Isn't stripping the morality away a little dangerous?
That's the fear, right? That without that moral whip, we'll just descend into chaos.
Yeah, I'll just eat garbage all day.
But the source would argue that the craving for the bag of sugar is usually a symptom of a system that's already dysregulated,
Right.
often by the restriction itself.
Oh, okay.
Regulation isn't about ignoring health, it's about context. Sometimes regulation looks like a big hearty meal because you're cold and you need grounding. And sometimes regulation looks like not eating because your digestive system is overloaded and just needs a break.
So it's dynamic. The right thing is constantly changing.
Precisely. A machine needs a manual with fixed rules. A field needs presence. You have to actually check in. And this gets us to a really fascinating part of the text, what it calls the trap of autonomy.
Right, because we all want food freedom.
We do. But the source says we often just swap one kind of trap for another.
Yeah, let's unpack that. Because when I hear autonomy, I either think of the intuitive eating crowd, which is like eat the donut if you want the donut,
Yeah.
or I think of the biohacker who's like, I have such control, I only eat once a day.
And the source argues that both of those can be traps of attachment. This is so nuanced. It talks about two types of binding. The first is binding your identity to consumption. Food is necessary. I'm a foodie. I need my 3 meals.
The live to eat person, or even just being terrified of feeling hungry.
Right. But the second trap is way sneakier, especially in wellness culture. It's binding your identity to refusal.
To not eating.
Yes. It's the person who wears their 72-hour fast like a badge of honor. They feel superior because they didn't eat.
Oh, I know that guy. The guy who tells you, I haven't eaten since Tuesday, while you're just trying to enjoy your sandwich.
We all know that guy, but look what's happening there. His identity is still totally wrapped up in food.
Just the absence of it.
Exact. He's not free. He's just attached to the refusal. The text says true autonomy happens when When neither position is defended.
When neither position is defended. Wow.
He's no.
That is heavy. So true freedom isn't I can eat whatever I want, and it's not I don't need to eat. It's like, Lord,
Yeah.
indifference.
Not indifference. I think a better word is fluidity. The text says, at times the body asks to eat. At times it asks to rest from eating. At times it asks for neither.
Huh.
The goal isn't a specific state. It's just the capacity to listen to whatever the request is without panicking and without pride.
I really like that phrase, rest from eating.
Ah.
It changes the entire vibe. Fasting sounds like a challenge, like I'm conquering something.
Yes, willpower.
But resting from eating just sounds like taking a nap. It sounds like self-care.
It reframes it completely. It moves it from willpower to care. If the body is this communicative field, sometimes that field is busy processing an emotion or fighting a virus, and it just says, hey, let's pause the food input for a minute.
And if you're listening, you just say, okay.
You just say, okay, you don't post about it online. You just don't eat for a bit.
But this brings us to the million-dollar question, the practical how-to. Because I can buy the theory, I want a communicative field. But in practice, if I listen to my body at 10 p.m. after a really stressful day, that field is screaming for ice cream, loudly.
Of course.
So is that the field talking? Or is that just stress? How do I tell the difference between embodied discernment and just a craving?
This is the absolute crux of the whole thing. This is where we get into clarity versus compulsion. The source identifies listening as the central axis, but it knows the signal gets jammed. We have to learn to distinguish between a behavior that comes from clarity and one that comes from compulsion.
Okay, give me the litmus test. I'm standing there, the freezer door is open.
Yeah.
How do I know which voice is speaking?
You have to look at the energetic root of the urge. Compulsion is almost always rooted in what the text calls fragmentation.
Fragmentation, what does that mean?
It means you're split. Part of you wants the ice cream to soothe the stress, but another part is judging you for wanting it, and a third part is already calculating the calories.
It's noisy.
It's noisy. It feels frantic. It feels like an itch you have to scratch right now. That's the signature of compulsion.
Okay, so compulsion feels urgent and anxious. What does clarity feel like?
Clarity, or what the source calls coherence, is quiet. It's a genuine connection between your body's awareness and your inner knowing. If your body actually needs the carbohydrates or the fat for regulation, the request feels grounded. It's not, I need this or I'll scream. It's simply, this is what is required.
So clarity doesn't argue with you.
Clarity doesn't argue. And here's a really important detail the source brings up. It says that in moments of deep presence, like you're in a flow state at work, or deep in conversation with a friend, appetite often naturally quiets down.
I've totally felt that. You look up and it's suddenly 3 o'clock and you haven't eaten, but you feel fine. You don't feel starved.
Right. That is a moment of coherence. But, and this is a huge warning in the text, that is a temporary expression of balance. It is not a new standard to be maintained.
Ah, I see the trap. We feel that Zen state once, and then we try to force it. We think, oh, I'm enlightened now. I guess I don't need lunch anymore.
Exactly. We try to turn a moment of natural, spontaneous regulation into a rigid rule. We try to freeze the wave. And the course is clear. Tomorrow, balance might look like a feast. If you try to force the quietness when the body is asking for fuel, you're right back in compulsion. You're being a tyrant again.
It's the difference between riding the wave and trying to control the ocean, which actually leads us into the deepest and maybe the most out there part of this source, harmonizing opposites.
Yes. This is where we zoom out from the body to the cosmos, really.
And I'll be honest, when I first read this part, I got a little lost. It starts talking about universal integration and twin flames. And I mean, when I hear twin flame, I just roll my eyes and think of bad TikTok dating advice.
I get it. Bear with it, though, because it's actually a brilliant structural analogy. The source is not giving dating advice. It's using the concept of polarity. The universe works on polarity, right? Day and night, expansion and contraction, inhale and exhale.
Right. I'm with you so far.
So the source argues that our body operates the same way. Hunger and fullness are not problems to be solved. They're like the inhale and the exhale of our physical existence. Unity or health doesn't mean erasing the opposites.
It doesn't mean being full forever or fasting forever.
No. It means the system works because it moves between them. If you only had an inhale, you'd die. You need both. And this is where the text connects it to what it calls relational consciousness. It asks us to treat the relationship between you, the observer, and the body like a true partnership.
A partnership, so not a dictatorship.
Not a dictatorship, and that's where the twin flame metaphor comes in. It's used to describe a union where neither side dominates the other. It's about mutual coherence, two self-regulated systems resonating together.
Okay, so in this metaphor, my mind shouldn't be screaming orders at my stomach, and my stomach shouldn't be holding my mind hostage with cravings. We should be talking to each other.
Resonating with each other. Think of a really good conversation. You're not controlling the other person, but you're not ignoring them either. You're in this dynamic exchange. That is what embodied discernment is. It's a shift from a relationship of control to one of resonance.
Mind with matter. I like that. But here's the problem with resonance. It's hard. It's uncertain. And I, like probably a lot of our listeners, love certainty. I love a rule book. I love a guru who tells me, just eat this at 8 a.m. and you'll be happy.
We crave external authority. We're sort of addicted to it. It makes us feel safe.
It absolves us of responsibility. If I follow the diet and it fails, I just blame the diet. If I have to listen to my own body and I get it wrong, well, that's on me.
And that brings us to maybe the most radical stance in the whole text, the total rejection of external authority. The source is adamant about this. No external authority can replace embodied discernment, period.
What about science? Medicine.
Yeah.
We can't just throw all that out and operate on vibes.
The source doesn't say ignore science. It says science describes patterns. It describes averages. On average, humans need vitamin C. That's useful information.
Okay.
But science cannot tell you what your specific energetic regulation requires at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday after a bad meeting.
It can give me the map, but it can't drive the car for me. Or tend the garden. I'm mixing my metaphors.
It can give you the map, but it can't feel the terrain under your feet. Only you can do that. The source says that spiritual traditions can point to possibilities, and science can point to patterns, but neither can substitute for lived regulation.
When you hand your authority over to a diet plan, you just stop listening. You start performing.
You start performing.
Performing health.
Wow.
I feel that. I have definitely eaten things I didn't want because they were healthy and avoided things I actually think my body needed because they were labeled bad. I was performing for some invisible audience.
And that performance creates a divide within you. You are literally divided against yourself. The source says that when the body is trusted, when you finally stop performing, nourishment just becomes contextual.
Which brings us back to that incredible quote, eating is allowed, fasting is allowed,
Yeah.
neither is required.
Neither is required. Just let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
The pressure just evaporates. If neither is required, then you're free to do what is actually needed in the moment.
It sounds so simple, but it's actually terrifying. Because if neither is required, then I have to decide every single time.
You do, but the source promises that this isn't a burden, it's a liberation. It closes with a sentence that just sweeps all the complexity away.
Yeah.
Only coherence is required.
Only coherence is required. So not thinness, not purity, not perfect macros.
Just coherence. Does this choice right now, in this moment, create a sense of alignment between my body and my knowing? If yes, do it. If no, don't.
It's a powerful simplifier. It cuts through all the noise of the wellness industry telling us we need this gadget or that supplement.
It puts the power back in your hands, or I guess in your gut. It requires trust, though. You have to trust that your body isn't some saboteur trying to trick you.
You have to trust that if you take your hands off the steering wheel of a machine, the field isn't just going to drive you off a cliff.
And that is the work. That's the real deep dive. It's not about changing what you eat. It's about changing who is sitting at the table. Is it the drill sergeant or is it the listener?
Beautifully put. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave everyone listening with a final thought to chew on. We've talked a lot about food, obviously, because it's the easiest place to see this dynamic play out.
It is.
But if we take this principle of embodied discernment really seriously, where else does it apply?
That's the question, isn't it?
If we stop seeing our hunger, or our lack of it, as some kind of moral test, and instead just see it as a request for regulation, how does that change the way we listen to ourselves in other areas of life? What about our need for rest or solitude?
Or even our need for connection. I mean, how many of us force ourselves to be social because we feel like we should, or we isolate ourselves because we think we need to be independent? If we treated those social hungers like physiological regulation, things would look very different.
Suddenly, you're not lazy for needing a nap.
Yeah.
You're regulating. You're not needy for calling a friend. you're seeking coherence. It changes everything.
It really does. It turns life from a performance into a practice.
Well, my communicative field is telling me it's about time to wrap this up. Thank you for diving deep with us today. Stop trying to fix the machine and maybe start tending the garden.
See you next time.